Hi, and welcome back to God's Golden Acres. I'm Kim, and today I want to have a little chat about what are we telling our kids. We think of prepping for the upcoming recession and making sure our kids have enough clothes, that we have toys and books, and maybe even some homeschooling supplies for them. But another thing is we need to prep their minds and their souls, making sure that we're involved in community. So church, youth group, 4-H. Are you visiting? Things like Trail Life and Heritage Girls. Those are all great ways of getting community. But there's something possibly even more important, and that's kids have a right to know the truth and a right to be told about what's going on. So I talk to my kids about how our food is changing. I don't go into detail. I'm not going to place blame and be like, the president is doing blah, blah, blah wrong. Like, they don't know who the president is. They don't know how our government works. They just know things are affecting them. So I have told my 5, 3, and 1-year-old, which granted the 1-year-old doesn't understand, but she's sitting in on those conversations too. Hey, kids, the food that I'm buying is different than you're used to because food's getting more expensive. Like, I tell them the truth in that way. I tell them I'm going to be adding beans to most of our meals. They're not happy about that, but they know at least. I tell them that gas is getting really expensive and we're not going to be able to go out to eat as often, or we're not going to be able to go do different things. They'll ask to go get ice cream or run to a special park that's a couple towns away, and we just can't afford the gas for that anymore. And it's like, yeah, we can go into town. We haven't gotten a library card for our town yet. It's a teeny tiny library. I didn't feel the need earlier, but we're going to go ahead and do that. That way they have a change. But I don't just tell them no, or that we can't afford it, because that makes no sense. Like, my husband's job hasn't changed. We haven't had anything like that happen. It's just gas is getting more expensive, and they see the signs, and we point out that it went up, and they hear us talk about that. We're honest about that. I have a cat hanging out. Say hi, May. She's clawing me just a little bit. Yes. Settle down, kitty. Ow! She's kneading my leg right where my shorts are sitting. And so we're honest. And we get them involved in the garden, right? We tell them we're going to have to rely on our garden a little bit more. They've been working on the train tracks. So we're going to may hear some more trains. So we do tell them, like, we're going to have to rely on our garden. We're going to need your help in the garden. We're getting animals. We're on the wait list. And hopefully we'll still have time to order chicks here soon. But it's been hard conversations. I definitely get whining when I talk to my kids about food changes. I think food changes are the ones that are affecting them the most. With school getting out and our schedule changing naturally, the whole going to different parks and not driving as much doesn't seem to bother them. We haven't been seeing friends as much as they thought we would. That they have found a little frustrating. But we haven't gotten much resistance because, well, it's summer and it's family time. And that's how we've kind of described this summer, as family time. We do tell them that we have to be careful with the lights more. We're kind of harping on the turn off your lights, turn off your fans, because we run fans at night because we don't run the air yet. You know, we try to save that for when it's really, really hot, and especially this year, right? We aren't having the easiest time with it. It's been quite the little adjustment that we've had to make for them. And part of it is we quite literally are eating different things. You know, I've already started adding more beans. It's not something I'm just stocking up on. It's something that I'm implementing to save us money, but also to get them ready for a time when that might be what we're eating mostly. May, you're driving me just a little bit batty. She is a sweet cat, but she is just quite the needy, touchy-feely cat. Trying to think. I didn't write down notes for this. It was just something I was like, I have got to make this video. We've started selling some things. We talked to the kids about like selling things and buying new, which we've always been pretty conservative on how much stuff we've kept in the house. Although we have lots of hand-me-down clothes, which my kids go through in order and then will be passed down to my nephew and any future kids my sister has. So we haven't necessarily kept that like real tight and reined in, because you have to go through my 3 kids and then through the next at least 2, because they plan on having 2. So, but we don't have a lot of toys. We're not buying a lot of toys. We don't buy toys at the store. And for some people, that's a thing that you're going to have to change and talk to your kids about, because it's going to change for them, and it's going to be a little bit culture shock. Hi. Are you going to kill that wasp, May? No? Oh. Cool. So yeah, it might, your kids might have some culture shock. Diesel shortages for certain areas might mean your kids don't have school this fall, or they're back on crisis schooling. And so it's something to even just talk to your kids about, like, hey, there's a diesel shortage. Like, we don't know how that's going to affect bus schedules, if that's going to affect how many days of school you have in a week. Some schools already have a 4-day week. We might see more 4-day weeks. We might see more 3-day weeks. I know many schools in our area have gone to a 4-day week anyway, to give teachers like grading time at the end of the week and time to make stuff up, because they have the school south of here has also a daycare set up for the school, which is weird, but that's how they're doing it. But that also means students will have more access to tutoring time, which is pretty cool. And that won't be an extracurricular or a Saturday or something else a parent has to pay for, which is really, really neat way of doing it. But your kid's school could change again. And especially if you've had kids in school and they're, 8 or up and have been dealing with a lot of changes to their school since 2020. I mean, I know kids a little bit younger than that would have been right introduced into 2020, but if it's different when you've kind of had a schooling foundation and then switched to a different school style multiple times in a row. But that's just another thing that kids are going to be dealing with. And there's a lot of conversations. And I can only say, be as truthful as you can. Like, there's a diesel shortage. That's why school might be different this fall. There's food shortages. That's why the food we're eating is different this year. There's gas shortages. So that's why daddy's or mommy's work schedule has changed, because you might have longer hours or longer days to get the same amount of work in, because companies can't give raises, but they can change schedules to try to save you money on gas. You might have friendship changes. People might be moving. We moved in crisis for my sister-in-law to be close to family, and that was hard, right? You had COVID, and then we had our daughter born, and then we had a family emergency and we moved and we left friends, and now we're dealing with another emergency. My kids haven't lived in a world where there's not constantly something going on. And I was like, I don't remember anything. I don't even remember 9/11. Now, my sisters tell me I was home sick from school, so I don't have that like shock value memory of it. But they do. And we're the same age. We're triplets. So it's just different for us. Right? Like, we didn't grow up with a tragedy. I went to, I even lived in a small school district. I grew up rural. And we didn't have shocking things happen in our community every year. It was just the normal, like, somebody lost their grandma or grandpa. It's sad, and, nobody wants to go through that, but it's not shocking, right? We didn't have many families that had, like, houses burned down, barns would catch on fire. Usually it was a hay barn. Well, that's not too critical. Like, it sucks. Like, you have to buy hay, but no animals died, no people died. People have places to live, animals still have places to live. Like, it's okay. So we didn't even deal with that yearly for many of us. And now our kids are dealing with something yearly. They kind of stretch out what our kids can handle. And it's hard. It's hard. And the only advice I have is stay in front of it and be truthful. Once again, tell them the truth about school. Tell them the truth about gas. Tell them the truth about food. And try to have, I showed some books and games in our house that we have for our kids. From previous videos, you would know I keep special snacks, and I've been stocking up on those things like M&Ms for my kids to have for memories. We're trying to figure out like internet and keeping things like that so we can still have contact with people if rolling blackouts are going on, especially if it's week-long blackouts. You may not talk to grandma and grandpa or Oma and Opa for a week. I remember as a kid losing power because, once again, I lived really rural, so losing power wasn't shocking, and we were all prepared for it. And we lost power for a week. And, you don't have a phone. And we lived near grandma, so we would walk down the road, check on grandma. We still had gas, so we could drive to see our other grandparents in the town that's 45 minutes away. But we might not have those options. My in-laws live basically one state down. So they live in Arkansas, just a little bit south of the border, and we live on the north side of Missouri. My parents live in southern Illinois, and then my sister-in-law lives in Illinois, just across the border, and it's hard. We're, nobody's that close, so keeping in contact with people might be a little difficult, and that's something that we're also preparing our kids for, is a little less contact with people, right? Now, my kids have role models, because we can always be like, this is how the Amish do it, and because the power's out, we have to do it like the Amish, and we are going to have to walk up to the Amish store, and we're going to have to walk up to so-and-so's house to go get eggs or dog food. And luckily, there's a decent little grocery produce, mostly produce. I'd say 2 miles. And then the feed store is just on the other side of them. So we're lucky that we technically can walk, even though we live out rural. But for most people, that's not true. Sounds like the neighbors are mowing to do their first cutting of hay. I will not go film them. Haven't asked, so I won't film them anyway. But I'm not going to ask, because I'm not going to push the limits of their religion. It is not something that they have chosen to be a part of, and I'm just that's the line. You know, their fields are already filmed by me because you're neighbors, and we have a weird shaped property. So our property borders two sides of theirs. It's almost impossible if I'm in my garden to not see their property. But like one of their church members came over and brought his bee box over and has collected the bees that were over here. And I didn't film that. I will do a little update on the bees, but really it's just a bee box because I didn't film him getting that all set up. That we won't, I won't have a lot of footage there. I'll just throw it on the end of a video. But yeah, I mean, I know this was kind of a convoluted, ranty video, but I really do feel it's important that not only do we prep for our kids' needs, but we prep them mentally, spiritually, and emotionally for what's about to happen, because their world's about to turn over again and again and again, because it is going to be dominoes, right? You're going to see power outages, which means you can't keep ice cream or you can't watch TV, and that's like, it's annoying, but you can still go outside. And food shortages, which is going to change the way you eat and how much you have to work. So you're not playing outside, you're working in the garden. You're tired, you don't have air conditioning, you can't sleep as well. Like, there's an adjustment, and it's not like all of a sudden you're in a survival situation and you adjust with everything at once. You know, we used to, all of our kids, we took the bottle away for their nighttime bottle at daylight savings because they can adjust to once. And it worked really well for us because the routine was different. All of a sudden, all of the routine was different at a different time, in a different way, with different light. It just worked out really well that way, and it shortened the adjustment period to all of those things. This isn't going to be like that. This is going to be dominoes, and it's going to be one thing after the other, and it's going to be delayed reactions a little bit probably. So you got to get your kids ready. And it's something that I'm passionate about. It's something I did not fully write down all my thoughts because I haven't even totally wrapped my head around exactly how everything I'm going to do with my kids. All I know is I'm going to tell them the truth that they need to know. The truth about gas prices, the truth about school, the truth about seeing friends and family, the truth about food. I'm not gonna put blame. They don't need to know who the president is at this age because they're toddlers and early elementary school students. Teaching them to put blame on Joe Biden isn't gonna help. It's not. They just need to know the truth and to be prepared for it and to not hear it when it's happening, but before it's happening. And there's not much time left because for many people, it's already happening. Their kids are noticing that school, they're not getting school lunches, and maybe the charities aren't there. The after school programs are being affected due to recent regulations. And these kids in poor income families, in neighborhoods where there's more people, so you're going to have more violence because of less food and less money and hardship. These kids are already feeling that. Many children are already feeling that. And it's hard to help them adjust if you've given them no warning. When I leave the playground with my kids, I give them a 5, 2, and 1 minute warning, and then I still let them usually take one last slide. So that's what I'm going to do here, is give my kids a food, a work, a school, a family. I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But I've said those categories, which are going to have added work in there, because you'll be working in the garden and feeding animals. So school, food, entertainment, communication, and family. And I'm giving those warnings now. So when we have to leave our comfort zones, just like when we leave the park, they're ready and they understand and they know what's going on. Thank you for being with me today. I know that this was rambling. I am praying for all of you. Like, share, subscribe. If you know somebody who's struggling and needs encouragement, please share this with them. Comment in the comments how you're helping your children, because I know I didn't go into great detail, and that there's things that other people think of that I don't think of. And then you can also get really particular in different things and like give your great idea and mom hack things for what's going on. Like mine is the mini M&Ms for M&M cookies. That's one of my mom hacks. Go get the whatever. You know, your kids might like Reese's cups. Get a bunch of Reese's minis. That way you can pull one little bitty one out. You can store quite a few of those. And you can get them out one a week. And you could keep some for a year, 2 years, easy. So whatever your kids enjoy there, you know. Don't make it gluttonous, but kind of try to keep the memory of good times alive. And thanks for being with us today. God bless. I'm praying for you.